friends, it's Jasmine again. As you might have seen from my last vlog, I did a 24-hour comic-a-thon. I was so dead by the end of the video, I couldn't even properly summarize the experience. And I'm glad I didn't because it's been about a week since I did the comic-a-thon and I've been able to digest a few things from the entire experience. So if you are considering doing a comic-a-thon or any type of 24-hour challenge, I do have just a tad bit of wisdom, a little bit of wisdom, for when you too want to do something as dumb as a 24 challenge. I do recommend that you see it because you'll be able to understand the context of a lot of the things that I'm referring to. One of those things being a tracker, and let me tell you, that is the first time I've ever actually measured my productivity like this, because it's kind of hard to do that in art. It was invaluable. Halfway through the challenge, I figured out that I have a page rate. Do you know what your page rate is? When I want to put down deadlines, I have a much more realistic sense of how long it's going to take me to reach a certain goal. That is invaluable information. So having a tracker will be able to tell you later on if it was really worth it. Now, because it was a comic-a-thon, I measured progress with a number of pages, and because I was doing several different things to the comic, I divided the tracker into categories of exactly how many pages I was writing or thumbnailing or drawing on the hour. The question is, how productive was I during this 24-hour challenge? So I made a graph of how many pages per hour I was doing. This is just a total of pages worked on. As you can see, it varied greatly. It wasn't a steady incline or decline. There were definitely bumps on the road. Now, I also tracked mood because why not? Let's see at what points in this 24-hour challenge was I miserable. I was surprised to see that the afternoon slump did play a role in my moods. Around 1 o'clock, I was not feeling so good about it. And the last thing I wanted to mention with this whole tracking stuff was to record every single break that I was taking, because I wanted to see if there was a true correlation between productivity and breaks. And it is funny to see that there is in fact a correlation. Obviously, if it were a real scientific study, this would be done a few times. I'm basing this only on that one experience from last week. So mixing all of this data up into one graph, you can see when we input the breaks, there's a correlation. And the conclusion from this is the less breaks you have, the less productivity there is, and the less breaks equals a lower mood. I feel like we all know this. Breaks are important. It's like ingrained in artists' routines. Take breaks. Always take breaks. Drink water. It is definitely interesting to see it play out because I understand that breaks are important, but many times I lose track of time. I can go on for 2 or 3 hours without a single break. And in fact, I did in this challenge, especially around 2 in the morning. I completely forgot to make more tea or get up or do anything. Not surprisingly, that was when I was miserable. So aside from the data aspect of it, there are 4 things primarily that I learned from this challenge that might be helpful for you if you're considering doing this. First conclusion, which I mentioned before, is to take breaks often. Breaks can really give you all the energy. The second thing that I learned from this is that if I hadn't mixed up the work, I don't think I would have lasted 24 hours. That's a long time of intense drawing. What I ended up doing in this challenge was I wrote for several hours, then I did thumbnails, and then I did drawing, and then at the very end, in my darkest of days, I went back to writing. I think being able to switch it up is really important. The writer that inspired me to do this 24-hour challenge was Kate Kavanaugh, and one thing that she likes to do for the 24 hours is mix her stories. So she doesn't just write off of one story, she writes several different stories at different times of the day. So mixing it up can keep you sane. So if you're considering a 24-hour comic-a-thon, consider working on several comics, or like what I did is work on several components of the comic, the writing, thumbnailing, drawing, etc. So the third thing, which could be a little bit more difficult, would be to have a buddy that you can do this challenge with. We're in quarantine at the moment, so I don't have anyone physically that could do this challenge with me, but I did do a live stream during the day and it felt great being able to work with other people and share my experience. That social aspect I think could be really beneficial for you to be able to last 24 hours long. Now, it would be ideal if maybe you had a friend that you could do the 24-hour challenge with, either physically with you, or you guys could FaceTime or just share in the misery of it. I think it would really help, especially at 1 a.m. That's when it really hit me that like, wow, I'm all alone in this. That live stream at around 5 o'clock felt great. So yeah, just something to consider. Have a friend to do it with. And the last thing that I learned about this, and this might be the most important one of all, the most important one, have good goals in mind. The point of having goals is to give you purpose. If you're doing this 24-hour challenge just for bragging rights, that's great. But when you are completely and utterly alone at 3 in the morning, exhausted, those bragging rights won't really feel that important. If you have actual goals that you care about, you'll get that motivation to push through the 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. portion. In the actual vlog, I had 2 very clear goals, and then I had extra credit goals. However, one of those first primary goals, looking back at it, was not realistic. To have thought that I would have been able to thumbnail over 300 comic pages, definitely questionable. But I didn't know it at the time. It was only halfway through the challenge that I realized that's not gonna happen. Seriously, I got a huge slump at 3 a.m. and that was because I no longer had any goals. I had already accomplished the writing goal, and then the second goal, I knew I wasn't gonna be able to finish it, so what the heck? What am I doing? Is the only goal to survive until the 24th hour? Have good goals that you know you might be able to set. So those are the things that I've learned and the conclusions from the experience. Overall, was it worth it? Yes, I would say so. I got a lot of good information out of this. Probably could have gathered this information outside of the 24-hour challenge, but sometimes you learn your lessons in strange ways. Will I do it again? No, I would not want to do that again. It was just miserable. It was horrible. I'm recording this on my bed just to show you how much I appreciate being able to sleep, and that is the one thing I don't like about this challenge. It's just a challenge. It's just for funsies, okay? Let's not read too much into it. I hope this has been helpful for you if you're considering doing a 24-hour challenge. If you've already done a 24-hour challenge and you have other lessons that I did not mention, please let me know what you have learned from your experience. With all of that said, thanks for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye guys!